kind of a lengthy report tonight, but it's a lot of things that need to be talked about. So, first thing I want to talk about is our water line projects. We've already talked a little bit tonight about the West Ridgeway, or what we're identifying as the West 60 water line project. We have opened those bids, we have received a low bidder, and the contract for that project will be awarded this Thursday at 2 p.m. here at Town Hall. That contract is going to Hammond Construction Company. Hopefully they're going to get started on that right after the holidays. And they know that time is of the essence for them to get the pipe in the ground from the bridge back to 5th Street and off the Ridgeway. So you'll see construction and traffic rerouting in that area beginning first of the year. So that should get started pretty good. The Smith Creek water line is well underway. They've already got several hundred feet of pipe in the ground, and they've got probably a couple thousand feet of pipe already made up and laying beside the road to be pulled into the ditch as they open it and put it in the ground and backfill it. We've run into a few snags up there, pipelines in the ground that we didn't know about, things of that nature. But you always do that when you start a water line project. You just have to work through them one day at a time as they come. But that is moving. Actually, it's on course for being on time at this point. So we're really happy that that's moving forward. I don't know how many of you rode up Commercial Street, but there was a huge pile of the pipe laying there under the Interstate 64 bridge, and there's hardly any pipe left there now. It's all up in the hollow, put together, ready to go in the ground. So as they come down further toward town, there's a few other change orders that needs to be made to get that project completed, but it's moving along pretty quickly. Amanda checks on it on a daily basis for us. So, speaking of Amanda and Public Works, 8 water leaks in 7 days, night and day. Started the Sunday after Thanksgiving when I called her that night, and it didn't stop. And it finished up Saturday night, right? Was it Saturday night?
Monday morning.
Monday morning. 8 leaks, 7 days. One of those leaks was a huge leak up in the holler. There was a 4-inch line that was not supposed to be there. Nobody knows why it was there. Nobody knows where it went, where it goes, or anything. When he got it up, he cut it completely in two. So at one point in time, the water plant was losing 2,600 gallons of water a minute. So, but they got on that, got that fixed. So, Amanda, you and your crew, thank you. I always cringe a little bit at 2:45 in the morning when I hear my phone and I look at it and it says Amanda Gunner. Not good.
That's how you answer too. What's the bad news?
And she has a leak specialist in town working with her. He was here today and will be back next week with somebody else.
He was hoping for tomorrow, but if it's raining, he won't come. It'll be probably next week. And
they're closing in, and they're using the assistance of Virginia Rural Water on the leak on Jefferson Street, and see if we can find out where that water's coming from and get that leak fixed so we don't have to fight that all winter. So, quick update on Amanda again and her lead and copper inventory that was required for water service lines going into individual residences. She had to have this completed by October the 16th, which she did. She had to send some letters out to everybody in Clifton Forge, which she did. And they have now accepted her inventory, and it is on file and in complete compliance with everything that we needed to do for that, and she can update that periodically as she goes along and finds out what actually is in the ground in some of these houses that she didn't have. Another job well done. The police department, you know, we've been short officers. They have hired one new officer. He will start the academy in January. And they have the second officer that's been on the force for several months, has just completed the academy, Officer Wimberly. And he is doing his field training work right now. We anticipate that he will be fully certified and ready to go on the streets on his own by early spring of next year. So that situation is getting a little bit better. The ARPA money that we've been so wonderfully blessed with for the last few years is coming to an end. We have been required to have that money obligated to a contract by the end of 2024, which is 3 weeks away, the end of December. We came up with money, even though we had it obligated in our system, we had not obligated it to the state to the tune of about $1.9 million. In our mind, we had it spent. We knew where it was going. We just hadn't told the state where it was going. So Wendy's been working with Sarah Cook from Thrasher Engineering to get that updated and get that money obligated to the state. And she's on track to have all that done and completed so we can meet that deadline and not have to give any of that money back. We can't afford to get it back because we've got it spent. We just got to make sure they know we got it spent so we can move on. So, but you're on track to get that done, right? Recently, there's been some comments put out to the public, again on social media, and we all know that social media can be a double-edged sword. But it has referred to surplus funds that I supposedly have said that Clifton Forge has. And if you remember, a couple of months ago, I gave you a report and an update on the latest audit report that we had received. And I said that we had improved our net position considerably, and that we had finished the fiscal year with a positive balance of $400 and whatever $1,000 in the general fund. That doesn't mean that that's surplus money. That means that that is money that can be used to more easily manage our fiscal responsibilities, make the much delayed repairs to some of our buildings, much needed upgrades, potentially be able to sit down and look after the first of the year when we start the new budget process at raises for our underpaid employees, and to manage the debt load that is on the town from previous administrations. Never ever did I intend to indicate that the town had surplus funds. We don't have surplus funds because every dime we get has a place that it can go. But through better opportunities and management, we have improved our net position. But the terminology surplus is an incorrect term. But it only takes one or two times for the public to see that, and then you constantly are, well, why aren't you using that extra money you have? And that's not the case. Just want to kind of clear that up and make it understood that we are in pretty good shape, but we're working to make it even better. I thank Public Works. I want to thank private citizen Robbie Barber for his commitment to the town and placing decorations in addition to what Public Works put out for us around Town Hall and the police department. He took one whole day of his time to do that. He purchased all of those. He's done it several years now. but they're all his project. All right, the two big updates for tonight is Wendy and I, for the last couple of months, have been talking with and interviewing new software companies for our software operation system here at Town Hall and throughout the town. We have signed a contract for a complete software upgrade package, which will start, we have our rollout meeting next Thursday. There's a 12 to 15 month transition period that they handle that, they do that. This will move us well above where we are with our abilities and citizen capabilities. This will be it's a complete package. It does all of our finances, it does all of the work orders, all the work requests, all the complaints. Code enforcement will be managed in this software. Building code maintenance will be managed in this software. Our building inventory will be managed in this software. It will allow us to communicate directly with the county software and be able to interact with that so that we don't have glitches like we had this year. It will marry up nicely to the Mueller software that Amanda uses for her water meter reads. There's going to be a portal slash dashboard, if you will, for every resident that wants it set up that has an account with the town of Clifton Forward. And when that resident or customer goes on that portal, you will be able to view your whole account. Water bills, sewer bills, taxes, real estate taxes, personal property taxes, when you pay them, how you pay them. If you owe them, you can click a button, pay it. It's a direct link. It's done. This is going to save so much time, reduce so much labor in the finance department. It's just going to be amazing. It's going to greatly improve our service to our residents. We've been listening. We've been hearing everybody for years now wanting this type of an upgrade. We're able to do it. Wendy is ecstatic about it. She was, we actually thought it was Christmas morning the other day when we finally agreed to do it, but she was happy and it was really kind of good. But I'm excited about it. It's going to be a lot of work for the next year and a half. But when it comes completely rolled out and completed, it's going to be well worth the effort that goes into it. Wendy, anything you want to add to that?
I'm just excited for it. Our employees are going to be excited for it too because they can go online and they can download their payroll stuff. If Amanda and her crew have to come in for a water leak, they can log in and they can put in that they were here at 3 a.m. and it's already in there for payroll. So it's going to be a nice system.
Okay. That's coming. That's a big step. Big step. And then the last thing I want to talk about goes back to your blighted building inventory. I've been working with Karen Weber, David Hill at Hill Studios, got us in contact with each other, and she's doing a lot of the asbestos abatement and studies and environmental studies for the Jefferson School building for the developers, which is part of what we have to provide, part of our performance in the performance agreement of what we need to provide to them. So we found out, David found out, that Karen with DEQ had a pot of money for brownfield grants and brownfield studies. So we've been able to tap into that pot of money so that for part of our performance agreement with the developers, DEQ is paying for that. They just had a crew in here all week last week doing the phase 1 environmental studies, no cost to the town. They're also looking at the possibility of removing the boiler, the asbestos and lead paint, and any other contaminants that they found, and being funded completely by DEQ. So that defrays the cost of our side of the performance agreement to the developers, therefore allowing us a better opportunity to help provide financing for the redevelopment of that school building. Big step in the right direction. So I started talking to her about residential properties in town. And then I talked to her about the building registry that y'all are going to pass the final vote on tonight. And she calls me up, she says, we need to meet, we need to have a talk. So she came over about a week ago and spent about 3 hours with me, and we rode around Clifton Forge, and we looked at a lot of places, and we looked at a lot of buildings, and we looked at a couple of sites on the railroad, the site for the new Amtrak station, Welcome Center, and a couple of other sites that we've been talking about. And we looked at some residential property. And she said Clifton Forge is a perfect place for a program that we're just getting started with DEQ. And they are working in conjunction with West Virginia and folks at WVU. And DEQ is working to develop an inventory program that is modeled after the West Virginia brownfields, abandoned and dilapidated bad buildings program. DEQ partnered with West Virginia Brownfields Assistance Center to conduct community inventory and redevelopment planning in the cities and towns across the state. Currently using a process that includes data collection, redevelopment planning through hands-on community workshops, and with West Virginia and Virginia Brownfields folks participating in the effort, like a group project. Here's the part. This allows us to better engage with the residents and other local stakeholders and to tailor the effort to meet the needs of the entire community. The inventory day is a boots-on-the-ground effort. We use digital app to log visual observations of sites. Then West Virginia BAC takes that information and does some behind-the-scenes research, compiles the data, generates maps. Then we get back together to review the findings and set up the redevelopment workshop, which helps identify priority action sites. In addition, this is one of the few times that I, meaning her and DEQ, can cross over and collect residential data, since brownfields is usually commercial or industrial or mixed use. For small towns, those residential properties are a large contributor to the blight. Our time and the efforts by the West Virginia folks are paid for with funding from the EPA and no cost to you, meaning the town. The deliverables are an inventory database with maps and site rankings and a redevelopment prioritization plan. The intent is to provide data and tools to aid in community decision-making to address blight and to support funding requests. For Clifton Forge, we think this will also help you track vacant properties in line with your newly developed ordinance. The process generally takes 4 to 6 months, depending on the number of sites and coordination of schedules. And I just want to go over a few of the benefits that she says to the community. Integrate inventory data into decision making. Integrate existing actions into planning efforts. Engage the property owners. Address and hopefully prevent blight. Identify legal options such as code enforcement. Focus resources toward accomplishable tasks including demolition, redevelopment, and revitalization. Identify funding sources and leverage the inventory to obtain funding. And in exchange for that, the DEQ gets awareness of individual community needs, identification of common needs in the communities across the state that allows them to direct their resources where they need to be, positive engagements with residents and community stakeholders, more identification of brownfield sites, opportunity to discuss more funding opportunities, and collaboration by the DEQ and other funding agencies. So, the participants that we will be inviting to these workshops are residents, key players in the community, council members, EDA members, any interested party in the redevelopment and work on getting rid of these blighted properties. This will be an interactive, community-wide involvement. It doesn't focus just on our downtown area. They will be inventorying the whole town. Town limit to town limit. Obviously, there are areas in town that will require more time and more review than others, but they will be scheduling the first workshop sometime mid to late January. But again, they said it's all free, but they strongly suggested that when you have the workshops and you're asking for people to volunteer, you might ought to feed them, just to make them happy to be here. But this is all at no cost to the town of Clifton Forward. And this brings not only the commercial buildings together, but the residential buildings and everything in town. And maybe we can start chipping away at it with the DEQ support and finances. So, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have tonight.
Any questions for him?